Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and it's time for a controversial view. Today we're going to be looking at the infamous Faces of Death. Okay, my relationship with this film is a bit odd. My wife and I were at a yard sale years ago. This is when we first got into eBay and, um, our first PC. This was way, way back. And when we were at a yard sale, I found a box set of the VHS tapes of Faces of Death. Now, I knew about them, I knew the infamy behind them, and I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to think of them. So I bought them, figuring that, and I bought them for pretty cheap too. And I figured if I didn't like them, I could sell them on eBay because they were going for quite a bit. So I brought them home and I watched about halfway through the first one, Faces of Death. And decided that it just wasn't the type of thing that I was interested in. So I decided that I was going to sell them on eBay. Now we had just made an account on eBay not that long ago, and I always felt like I was very particular about things that I would sell on eBay. For example, I would never sell comic books on eBay because they weren't graded. And for me, since I was so particular about my comic collection, there was no way for me to grade the comics myself. But everything else I was also particular about. So I would watch everything before I sent it out to somebody for the simple reason that I didn't want it to be damaged or that it didn't work. Because I wouldn't want something sent to me that was damaged or that didn't work, you know, do unto others and so on and so forth. So I watched all of the Faces of Death films. At the time, there were three or four. I don't know. This was some kind of box set. I can't remember exactly. I think it was one through four. I can't remember. But so I watched all of these films. I ended up sending them to this person. They paid, and then they said, wait a minute. Would you mind taping these for me? I'll pay you for them, and then you can just sell them to someone else. Which automatically sent out a red flag for me because A, you're not really supposed to do that. I mean, that's like breaking the law. And B, it just gave me an uneasy feeling about this person. So he ended up getting the Faces of Death tapes, and wouldn't you know it, they were damaged and he wanted a full refund. I was like, no, that's not how it worked. My wife and I packed them perfectly. The package was fine. He sent a picture of the package. There was nothing wrong with these tapes. He just didn't want to have to pay for them, or he wanted to pay a considerable amount less because these were going for quite a bit at the time. So I said no. I followed with eBay and never really heard anything from this person ever again. Um, and that was my experience with Faces of Death. So now, fast forward many years, haven't seen it since. Joe and I decided that we were going to do Faces of Death for Controversial View because we've been doing our monthly theme Thursday with entries from the first list of the Video Nasties. And I'm going to be honest, I wasn't really looking forward to watching this. So let's get right into the controversy behind Faces of Death. All right. Many years have gone by, of course, and my tastes have changed over the years. So I wasn't really sure how I was going to react to it. And now it has come out that a lot of it was fake. There was a 60-40 split. 60% of it was real, 40% of it's fake. At least that's what they've come across so far. One of the controversies is the infamous monkey scene, which I never liked. It always bothered me. The monkey scene was completely fake. The people around the table were actually friends of the director. The mallets that they used to hit the monkey were foam, and they replaced the monkey, of course, with a model monkey. The brains that they dug out of the monkey's head were cauliflower with stage blood on it. So I thought that that was pretty interesting. Controversy number one. Controversy number two. Apparently in 1985, a California school teacher forced two students, or actually, she forced her entire class to watch Faces of Death. And two students were so traumatized that they told their parents and they filed suit against the teacher. Now, the teacher was never fired, they were just suspended. Isn't that amazing how that happened back then? And the teacher didn't get fired? Now, if you look at a student the wrong way, you're out of there, pal. So, all right. I already said about the 60-40 split. The electrocution scene is completely fake. The foam coming out of the guy's mouth is toothpaste. And apparently there was a case where a kid lured another kid into the woods and killed that child, and said that he had just watched Faces of Death, and he wanted to see what it was like to kill someone. Because he had, well, it turns out he had mental illness. Imagine that. Yeah. I had a very different look at this film this time. I no longer despise this film. There's a lot about it I don't like. I don't like a lot of the animal violence, but then you get some of the animals attacking back, and I like that because, I mean, let's just face it, humans are a piece of shit. We really are. I mean, that's just my opinion. But, you know, destroying the world, killing animals for sport, it's just not a good look. So anytime when the animal fights back, I'm all in. Um, this is actually an interesting documentary. And Bryn had just done a video a few months ago, by the time you're watching this, about extreme horror. And he put it into three categories. And he put Faces of Death, this was before, of course, I revisited it. He put the Faces of Death in the category of a good film. And I was like, really? Wow. But I can actually see why he feels that way. This is it's a good documentary, and it actually ends, and I thought this was corny years ago, but now I kind of appreciate it. The documentary ends with life, with a mother giving birth, and seeing nature in all of its beauty and everything. So I knew what they were trying to go for with this documentary. Don't get me wrong, I know it's shock for shock's sake, and a lot of it being fake doesn't really speak well for the people who are trying to sell this as totally real. But it is an entertaining documentary. Some of it I don't like, some of it I do. And my opinion has changed on Faces of Death after all these years. So I am not going to recommend this. It's basically what Joe always says. We watch these so you don't have to. I am not going to recommend this. This is not going to be for a majority of the people. But my opinion on this has changed. Definitely go and check out Joe's controversial view for Faces of Death. And remember, guys, physical media matters. And until next time, peace.